Hello, everyone. It's Thor, and today we're going to be taking a look at Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini. As many of you know, it's starting October 30th, and it's going to be in the sign of Gemini for about 2 weeks. And then it's going to enter the sign of Taurus on November 13th. This is going to be a very short period, but it's going to be a very intense period. And the reason why is when Mars stations before it goes retrograde, there's a tremendous burst of energy that happens in the sign of Gemini. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how this is going to affect you for the next couple weeks. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another video for when Mars goes retrograde in the sign of Taurus. And it's going to be in Taurus for quite a while, all the way till March of 2023. So let's take a look. For those of you guys that are new to my channel, please like and subscribe. And by the way, I do Vedic sidereal astrology. If you're new, it's not Western tropical astrology. So you'll have to find the appropriate calculator online to be able to calculate your ascendant sign. Also, if you guys are interested in a private reading, please check for details down below. And also, I'm going to be including some remedies to help with your karma and the different type of events that are unfolding. So we're going to have remedies for each of the signs. Some of them are going to be a little more malefic than others. So we'll see as we go through the signs. One thing I want to point out to you all is it really depends on what sign you are on what kind of effect Mars is going to have. So for example, if you're a Leo or a Cancer, Mars is going to be a benefic planet. If you're a Capricorn or an Aquarius, Mars tends to be a more malefic influence. And so we really have to look at the house lordships when we're taking a look at its transit and how it affects all the 12 signs, because it acts differently according to what sign you are. So that's why I offer different remedies for different types of situations. Also, I want you to be aware of when you're looking at these predictions, take a look at your ascendant sign, but also take a look at your moon sign. So both of those signs are going to be important. And a lot of times what kind of karmic events unfold in your life is going to be somewhere between the two. So that's good to take a look at both. All right, so let's go back to the slideshow. Again, Mars retrograde in Gemini is going to be October 30th to November 13th. Very short retrograde motion through Gemini. Powerful energies when Mars stations. That's why we're doing a video on this. And Mars will continue its retrograde motion into Taurus from November 13th to January 12th. That's when it's going to be retrograde. But when it goes direct, it will still be in Taurus till March. So it's going to be in Taurus for a really long time. But we're just going to talk about this narrow period of 2 weeks where it's going to be in the sign of Gemini. I think a lot of crazy events are going to be happening in the world in the next 2 weeks. So we'll all be dealing with that as well. So let's go to our first sign here. Let's go to Aries. If you're an Aries ascendant or Aries moon, this reading is going to be applicable to you. Mars is a positive planet for you, Aries. Even though it rules the 8th house, it's going to have a more positive influence on you. But remember, Mars is Mars. Mars is always going to have somewhat of an influence of feeling you're pressured to do things. So it's going to be transiting your 3rd house. And this has to do with social media, online businesses, and this also has to do with things like self-earned wealth. So you could be seeing more revenues by basically changing your online businesses or the way that you manage your social media. One of the problems I see is there could be some aggressive coworkers and neighbors for the next 2 weeks. So be careful about that. Because the 3rd house does tend to indicate people in our immediate vicinity. So you're going to have to be careful with that. Also, you might be getting little unexpected monies coming through your small business. So there's going to be little bursts here and there of money coming in. The bad thing about this transit, even though it's generally positive for you, Aries, is it's going to bring a lot of mental anxiety because Gemini tends to be a very negative house because the 3rd house is a cool house. And Mercury, if we're looking at the Lord of Gemini, is one of the worrisome planets for Aries ascendant. So there's going to be a lot of stress. So you're going to make inroads with these online businesses, but there's going to be some stress associated with it. I do have some remedies. The metaphysical remedies that I recommend is to chant Om Shanti 108 times per day, just so that you have more peace of mind. And I also recommend you chant Aham Prema 108 times per day to calm the mind and go back to the heart center. Because you're so worried, because the third house is a lot of mental anxiety, we need to bring you back to the heart. So check those out. And if you have a choice between the two, choose the one that resonates most with you, Aries. All right, we're going to go to our next sign, Taurus ascendant or Taurus moon. This reading is going to be for you. Mars is actually a neutral planet for you. It rules the 7th and 12th house, so it has a lot to do with partnership, but it also has something to do with losses. It's going to be going through the 2nd house of Gemini. And because it's associated with the 12th house, I do feel like there's going to be some sort of financial losses. The good news is this transit's only going to be 2 weeks. So it's not going to be an incredibly busy transit. The other thing are incredibly long transit. The other thing I want you to be aware of is there could be some sort of issues with relatives or family, because second house represents family of origin. And you also might want to check on your father, because Mars is aspecting the 9th house. There could be misunderstandings with your father, father figures, gurus, or even health issues. So you want to check on them, make sure they're okay, and also, check on that relationship. Pick up the phone and maybe give them a call. Now, there's going to be a tendency to have angry outbursts. Be careful with your temper, because the 2nd house rules speech. So there's going to be a tendency to want to be verbally aggressive, or to shout, or to be angry, especially using your voice and your words. So be careful about that, Taurus, because you can be really stubborn, and we don't want to lock horns with you. Also, the aspect to the 5th house could indicate restless children. If you do have children, I do recommend sports or something where their energy there can be an outlet for that energy, because they might be throwing tantrums, or they might be just basically being restless and need to be able to go out and expend that energy somewhere. I do recommend a few metaphysical remedies for you, Taurus. If you chant Shreem Brise 108 times per day, that is going to be for abundance. It's a mantra for Mother Lakshmi if you're interested in using that mantra. And also, I recommend chanting Om Shanti 108 times per day for peace, because I feel like there's going to be those emotional outbursts that may affect you. Okay, so we're going to go to you, Gemini ascendant or Gemini moon. This reading is going to be for you. Mars is a cruel planet for you because it rules the 6th house and it rules the 11th house. So it's not generally a good planet wherever it transits. It's going to be going through your 1st house. So there's going to be a lot of irritability and a lot of excess energy where you're just wanting to be on the move constantly. There's going to be a focus on bodily health, though. So this could be made positive if you actually direct the energies in the proper way. This is a good time for recognition for hard work, because the 11th Lord is in the 1st house. So this could be getting some recognition, but it's going to be through hard work. It's not going to be just because you have this bright aura. It's going to be just through your work that your managers and your bosses are going to notice you. Also, you are being pushed to act during this transit, because Gemini, you tend to overthink things because you're ruled by the planet Mercury. So what Mars is trying to do, Mars is trying to actually make you more prone to action. It's time for action. You need to act. And that's what Mars is going to push that imperative on you. You may have home improvements, or you may even move during this time. So if you're planning a move, it looks like it's going to happen. If there's no plan of move, it could just simply represent house improvements or house repairs you're going to need to make for the next 2 weeks, because it's aspecting the 4th house in your chart. It's also aspecting the 8th house of your chart. So this could represent problems with in-laws, and also your marital finances may suffer during this time. So be careful to check on that and make sure you budget. Some of the metaphysical remedies I have for you, Gemini, are going to be to practice yoga, Tai Chi, martial arts for the excess physical energy you're going to have because Mars is going to be going through your first house. I also have chant aham prema 108 times per day to become more heart-centered, less focused on the ego. And the reason I say this, Gemini, you're so locked in the head all the time. It's time really to bring you down to the heart so that you can feel like you can finally rest. Because I feel like you have so much energy on this, or so much restless energy of the mind. It's time to rest in the heart. Let's go to Cancer. If you're a Cancer moon or a Cancer ascendant, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a really good planet for you, Cancer. It's a Yoga Karaka planet. It's really good, but it brings you growth through struggle. Okay, so it's not necessarily a bed of roses for you. It's going to be transiting through your 12th house of Gemini. And the 12th house of Gemini represents things like dreams, spiritual life. It can even represent things like hidden enemies. So you got to be a little careful with that. You may be forced to slow down and reflect on your spiritual life during this time, Cancer. And these spiritual insights are going to actually help you. So even though the work and things might slow down for the next 2 weeks, trust me when I say this, it's going to help you when Mars goes back into the sign of Taurus, which is your 11th house, which is going to be all about expanding your networks and making money, okay? So take this time to reflect, think about your life, and connect with spirit during this time, because this is really a blessing, and that's what Mars is trying to do for you. This is a very good time for inspiration and creative work since it's going to be aspecting your 5th house. And you may have hidden enemies try to undermine you at this time. And when I'm talking about hidden enemies, these are people that you're not really aware of. So that's why I'm recommending some protective mantras for you, Cancer. Also, there may be some restless energy with your spouse or if you're in a long-term committed relationship because of the 7th aspect or the aspect on the 7th house for you, Cancer. Some of the protection mantras I recommend for some of the issues with these hidden enemies are going to be with 2 deities. One deity is Green Tara, the other one is Durga. So just choose whatever you resonate with, or if you find another protective deity, you can work with that. Green Tara is going to be Om Tare Tu Re Soha. That's going to be the mantra for Green Tara. And then for Durga, it's going to be Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And you chant those 108 times per sitting. And what it does, it's supposed to bring more protective on a metaphysical and spiritual level to you. And it influences your physical reality as well. Okay, Leo, you're next. So if you're Leo ascendant or Leo moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a really good planet for you, Leo, because it rules the 4th and 9th house. It's the Yoga Karaka planet for you. So it does move you forward in life, but through struggle and through difficult situations. But those difficult situations, what they do is they cause you to push beyond certain limits that you may have been limiting yourself before. So it makes you push through those limits. Going through the 11th house, it's going to be really good for economic networks. So if you're in business, it's going to be great for expanding your market. Also, it's going to be great for economic gains, revenues, and all sorts of just economic earnings. If you're working a traditional job, you possibly could get a salary increase during this time or be rewarded for that. It's great for online businesses if you guys have online business. Also, like I said earlier, it's an increase of earnings, increase of assets. So this is going to be really good for your money situation. Your friends and your elder siblings, because they're represented by the 11th house, they might be somewhat testy or argumentative during this period. So, if you need to give them a little space, that might be recommended. Also, you may be prone to verbal outbursts yourself, Leo, because it is aspecting your 2nd house. And this is going to be a good time for paying off debts, okay, because it aspects your 6th house. So this is actually going to be a very beneficial transit for you, Leo. Good for you. My metaphysical remedy for you, Leo, is going to be chanting Om Shanti 108 times per day, just for peace of mind. Because what Mars is going to be doing, Mars is going to be putting a lot of stress when it's retrograde. Remember, it's more powerful. Virgo, if you're Virgo ascendant or Virgo moon, this reading is going to be for you. Virgo, Mars is a cruel planet for you. It rules the 3rd and the 8th house. And Mars and Mercury are not friends. So that's why it's going to be a little bit of a tough transit. It's going to be going through your 10th house of career, which generally is good for things like promotions. There could be a promotion, but it is going to be involving taking a risk of some sort. Or there's going to be some sort of very fast transformation. Your job title may change, but they might give you more work. So there's kind of this double whammy because Mars is a malefic for you. You also may have pushy bosses and managers, which may cause some stress in your life. And you also are going to have a lot of physical energy. You're going to have a lot of drive and ambition because it's aspecting your first house. And it's going to be a good time to start a new health routine if you've been thinking about starting one for a while now. Also, this aspects your 5th house of children. So you may, if you have children, you may notice that there's some tantrums or things going on with them. So they need to find an outlet like sports or something like that. My metaphysical remedies for you, Virgo, are going to be chanting Aham Prema 108 times per day for the restless thinking. And you need to be more centered in the heart. You're just like Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. So there's a chance to overthink and get stressed because of mental anxiety. So we need to get you back down in the heart, Virgo. And this is going to be a good time for you yourself to play sports, practice yoga, and do anything physical to have an outlet for those energies in your chart. Thank you, Virgo. All right, Libra, you're up next. If you're Libra ascendant or Libra moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is actually a neutral planet for you, so it's not really good, it's not really bad. It doesn't rule a negative house, but it doesn't rule a trine house. So that makes it kind of a mixed bag when it's a transiting. It's going to be going through your 9th house of Gemini. There could be issues with your father or father figures during this time. This could be restlessness, misunderstanding, but it also could be health issues with your father. So you may want to check on your father during this time if you know there's issues already happening. There's going to be a very positive aspect about this transit, though, and there's going to be a strong urge to study Dharmic teachings, philosophy, and to understand the purpose of life. So this is going to be a very Dharmic type of time for you. I ask you to take advantage of that. It's really a blessing to study the Dharma and to really contemplate your life and go through deep study and analysis. You may also have the urge to travel because 9th house does represent traveling for learning, traveling to gain wisdom. You also need to be careful about secret enemies in your life because the 12th house is being aspected in your chart. And you may move suddenly or buy or sell real estate. If you do buy or sell real estate during this time, it tends to be positive because it's transiting the 9th house. It's the 2nd lord. So this is actually somewhat of a positive time to do it. Obviously, talk to a financial advisor if you're doing that. And my metaphysical remedies for you, Libra, are going to be protection mantras 108 times per day. And you may also want to dedicate these protection mantras for your father or your gurus or father figures also to protect them. And you also need the protection during the travels because you're going to have the travel bug. So green Tara mantra is recommended. That's Om Tare Tutare Ture Soha. That's a protective deity. And there's another protective deity, Durga. Om Dum Durga Ye Namaha. Whatever resonates with you, I generally recommend chanting 108 times per sitting, once a day if you're going to use these remedies. All right, Scorpio, you are up next. So if you're Scorpio ascendant or Scorpio moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a neutral planet for you, even though it rules the 1st house. It is your ruling planet. It's neutral because it rules the 6th house, which is an evil house in astrology. It's going to be transiting the 8th house of Gemini in your chart. This could be a very volatile period for you, Scorpio. So I'm actually saying be careful during this time. There could be sudden accidents. I recommend just exercising caution and also the protective remedies, protective mantras, just to get that spiritual protection that you need. But this could be volatile. The 8th house is sudden events, and then we're having the 1st and 6th lord going through the 8th house. There could be problems with in-laws, and also the marital finances could be harmed. So make sure you're working on budgeting and also your relationship with your in-laws. The positive thing about this is you are a very spiritual sign, Scorpio, believe it or not. There could be sudden awakenings and Kundalini activations during this time if you're involved in spiritual practices, especially when Mars stations there in the 8th house. It's going to be a tremendous amount of this energy really affecting your life, and it could be utilized for spiritual purposes. This is also going to be a good time to study metaphysics, astrology, energy healing, Reiki, those kind of modalities. And you may have issues with siblings. So if you have siblings, they could be restless. There could be misunderstandings with them. It's something to be aware of. My metaphysical remedies for you are going to be the protection mantras with the deities Green Tara and Durga. If you feel so inclined, just because you're in a period that's prone to accidents. So Green Tara, the mantra is Om Tare Ture Soha, and Durga is Om Dum Durga Ye Namaha. You don't have to do both. You can choose whatever one you resonate with. Or if you have another protection mantra, I invite you to use that. At least with the protection mantras, it gives you peace of mind. So that's the most important thing when you're using these remedies. It's to reduce our stress, make us feel so we feel protected. And when we feel protected, that actually manifests in our reality. Sagittarius, you are next. So if you're Sagittarius or Sagittarius Ascendant or Sagittarius Moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a beneficial planet for you, Sagittarius. Even though it rules the 12th house, it rules the 5th house, and the 5th house is dominant to the 12th house. So it's actually going to be a positive transit. Even though there is going to be some difficulties with your spouse or long-term romantic partners, overall, it's going to be a good transit, okay? So like I said, restless spouse, business partners, and long-term romantic partners, there could be issues. There's just a lot of restless energy, so it can cause some bickering and things like that. But this is going to be a good transit if you're into bargaining and making deals, because 7th house does represent contracts. So you're going to have the edge if you need to make a business deal. Also, promotions at work, you may get promoted because Mars is aspecting the 10th and Mars is beneficial for you, but the bosses may be very demanding and they might be acting like jerks. Also, you're going to tend to accrue assets during this time. There could be some extra money saved. You may see your finances improve because of the aspect to the 2nd, because overall, the 5th Lord is aspecting. There's a sense of fortune about this. The metaphysical remedies I do recommend are Om Shanti 108 times per day for peace, because you're living with your spouse and your business partners. Om Shanti will be good. And also I do recommend plenty of space. So if you're married or living with someone, just make sure you have plenty of space. That's how you deal with it. You can go out in the nature, go out on walks, and make sure you have plenty of space for this restless energy that you may encounter. Capricorn, you are next. So if you're Capricorn Ascendant or Capricorn Moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a cruel planet for you because Mars and Saturn are not friendly planets. It rules the 4th and 11th houses, and Parashara, Sage Parashara, says it is evil for a Capricorn. So that's why we consider it an evil planet. The transit's going to be going through your 6th house of Gemini. There could be problems with competitors, co-workers, and even neighbors. So expect some issues there. You may want to lay low a little bit. And you may be forced to work overtime. So there may be more hours that you're forced to work. You could see more money coming in, but it's because you're being forced to work more. Remember, Mars always has a flavor of being forced to do something. It's not necessarily you're happily making more money working more hours. It's like you're forced to because somebody quits or something like that. Be careful about your health during this time. 6th house does represent health imbalance, so you might want to take this opportunity to start a new health routine. Also, there may be restless father or father figures, teachers, or gurus during this time because Mars is aspecting the 9th house. You may want to check on them, make sure everything's all right. And also, you may have an overabundance of energy during this time because Mars is aspecting your 1st house, which represents your body. So you're going to want to have an outlet for this. Go work out and go, martial arts, yoga, all types of physical activities. The metaphysical remedies I recommend for you, Capricorn, is to meditate 15 minutes daily if you can, just because the 6th house, it really represents a imbalance even on a mind level, that there's just this idea of all this stress happening, you're working too much. So it's going to be important to meditate every day. You can chant Om Shanti 108 times per day at least to help bring a little more peace into your life. And also try to find an outlet for all this excess energy that you're going to have. Go to the gym, like I said, martial arts, yoga, all types of ways to use that excess energy. If you are Aquarius ascendant or Aquarius moon, this reading is going to be for you. Mars is a cruel planet for you, Aquarius. Even though it rules the 3rd house and the 10th house, it doesn't seem cruel. Sage Parashara says it's a cruel planet for you. And Saturn, your ruling planet, and Mars are not friendly towards each other. So it's going to be going through your 5th house of Gemini. You may feel compelled to pursue creative activities like writing and painting. So I do recommend that. You may feel pushed to do it. Like there's deadlines and things like that. That's where the Mars influence is going to come in. You may have restless children during this time. Sports are going to be good for them, having some sort of outlet for the children. If you're single, though, it's going to be a good time to date, because when Mars is transiting the 5th house, it gives you that pursuit energy where you're able to go out there and mingle with people. So it's positive in that respect. You also need to be careful for things like accidents, sudden events, misunderstandings with the in-laws, because it does aspect your 8th house. So there could be some misunderstandings there. And you may feel compelled to travel and forced into retreat or spiritual environment to reflect. So things may slow down for you, and that's why you're getting more of a creative mindset. And that's going to be Mars's aspect to the 12th house. So there's this aspect of reflecting about your life for the next couple weeks, but it's going to help you. It's going to help you for, especially when Saturn moves into the 4th house. It will be really refreshing. My metaphysical remedies for you, Aquarius, are going to be chanting 108 mantras per day for protection. Green Tara mantras, Om Tare Tu Tare Tu Re Soha. Durga mantras, Om Dum Durga Ye Namaha. So you may want to look at those if you're interested in working with protective deities. And we're having you chant those protective mantras just because there's this 8th aspect that could be causing some sort of misunderstandings with your in-laws, or put you at risk for some sort of sudden events like accidents. If you are Pisces ascendant or Pisces moon, this reading is going to be for you. Pisces, Mars is actually a very beneficial planet for you. It rules the 2nd house and the 9th house, so it rules the house of money. And the 9th house is one of the trine houses, so it's a really good planet for you. But again, it's always beneficial, but it's going to be through struggle, because that's what Mars represents. Mars is going to push you to your limit during this time. So Mars is going to be transiting your 4th house of Gemini. This could indicate actually money through buying and selling real estate. Of course, make sure you talk to a financial advisor if you're doing that. Make sure it's a good decision. But it could show some sort of boon or getting a good deal on buying a property. You may move, and if you do move, it will be to a better residence, because Mars is a positive influence on the 4th house. Your mother or mother figures may have restless energy during this time. There could be misunderstandings. You may want to keep up with your relationship with your mother, check in on your mother, just because the Mars energy creates restlessness wherever it goes in the chart. Also, your marital and business partners may get triggered occasionally because of the Mars aspect to the 7th house. But there is this idea of economic gains happening, and I believe this is supposed to be the aspect to the 11th house. But anyways, the aspect to the 7th house is going to be great for making deals as well. So it is good for business. The metaphysical remedies I recommend for you, Pisces, are going to be grounding, because Pisces, you're such an artist and you're such a spiritual person. I definitely recommend some sort of grounding during this time. Wearing black obsidian is something you could do. Also, meditations using grounding techniques like sending cords into the earth and so forth are going to be good for you, Pisces. All right, so we're done with all 12 signs. This is going to be quite an interesting transit. Like I said, this is going to influence the next couple of weeks for you, but then there's going to be a shift when Mars enters the sign of Taurus on November 13th. So there's going to be another video, because we're really going to it's going to open up new aspects of what this means for you. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you have any things happen during the next couple weeks, let me know down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.